Hello there, young'uns. Grandpa Jedidiah here. Oh, putsy, putsy. Now, I'm gonna tell you young'uns the story about the world's first sewer. Oh, it's a grand tale indeed. Now, the story of the world's first sewer. Oh, yes. It was back in the year 1492. Now, it was over in jolly old England. And there was this pond called Billiam. It was called Mr. Billiam's Farm. It was called Mr. Billiam's Pond. It was a swimming pond where people like to go in and swim. And one day there was this man. He started to go for a swim in the pond. He started to go for a swim in Mr. Billiam's pond. But he said, I'd really like to go for a swim here in Mr. Billiam's pond. But I gotta piss and shit. Should I go piss and shit before I get in the pond for a swim? He said, what the hell? I want to swim. So he went for a swim in the pond. This pond was 15 foot deep. And he said, he swam around for a few minutes and said, I've got to go out. I've got to go home. I got to shit and piss. Well, he was in the middle of the pond at that time. And he tried his best to make it out of the pond so he can go home and poo-poo and pee-pee. But he pissed him. You see, he was swimming in the pond naked. It was a skinny dipper pond. And he pissed and shit the water full. Then he swam out with a couple turds and a big puddle of pee in the pond. And then he got out of the pond, put his clothes on after he wiped his rear. Then he just threw the dirty, well actually he wiped his rear with his hand and he just slung it in the pond. Then he washed his hand in Mr. Billiam's pond. Then he went home. And when he shit and pissed in that pond, it done something to the water. Every person from then on out that went for a swim in Mr. Billiam's pond, the first was this woman, a hot, sexy thing. She got into the pond and went for a swim, and then she had when she got into the middle of the pond, she had an incredible urge to shit. So she did. And she just wiped her butt on her hand, rinsed it off in the water, and went home. Then the next person that come to swim, he just couldn't hardly smell the piss and shit. It was a man. He said, I'm going for a swim. So he did. And he shit and pissed from his incredible urge to do so. And then he wiped his ass, washed his hand, and went home. Then there was, you see, there was still dozens and dozens more people that wanted to go for a swim in that pond. It was the smell of the sewage in the pond. It was the smell of the human sewage. Oh, I got to add some to the pond myself. Wait a minute. Now, it was the urge. Every time they smelled the shit and piss in the sewer, every time they smelled the shit and the piss in Mr. Billiam's pond, it drew dozens of people toward the pond, and they all wanted to go for a swim. And every time they did, they shit and pissed. The next one that come along, she shit. The next man that come along, he shit and pissed. The next woman that come along to Mr. Billiam's pond to swim, she shit. The next man that come along, and the next woman that come along to Mr. Billiam's pond, they both shit. And pretty soon, Mr. Billiam's pond became the world's first sewer. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And my young'uns, my grandboys and granddaughters, if I'm telling a lie, may a lightning bolt strike me down now. Oh, better like and sub, young'uns. I hear it raining. Goodbye.